Hello, welcome back to another Daily Wisdom from Proverbs. Today we're in Proverbs chapter 18. So let's look at it starting at verse 1. Whoever isolates himself, I think that's people who might be a little antisocial perhaps, a little divisive perhaps, people who are reclusive maybe. But whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. And it says he breaks out against all sound judgment. Verse 2. We have all been people like this at times. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Sometimes the quote we hear is, my mind is made up, don't confuse me with the facts. And we all get that way sometimes. So in this case, it's be the opposite. Seek to understand what people are saying. Seek to understand other people's opinions and their thoughts and where they're coming from. So many times we get so caught up with, I want people to understand me, and we don't take the time to try to understand what other people are saying. Verse 3, when wickedness comes, contempt comes also, and with dishonor comes disgrace. Verse 4, the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a bubbling brook. Verse 5, it's not good to be partial to the wicked or to deprive the righteous of justice. Verse 6, a fool's lips walk into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. Sometimes we're just really argumentative and we walk right into a fight every single time. We're just looking for a fight sometimes, and it finds us. And so this is saying, if you're wise, you'll avoid those types of things. Verse 7, a fool's mouth is his ruin, very similar to what we just read, and his lips are a snare to his soul. Verse 8, the words of a whisperer, a gossip, somebody who shares secrets, somebody who can't keep a secret, the words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. Verse 9, and whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. Think about that. Lazy people and destructive people are really close. It's like they're brothers to each other. Laziness is destructive in its own way. Verses 10 and 11 go together, so watch this carefully with me. Verse 10, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous man runs into that tower, and is safe. We can depend upon God. We can depend upon the name of the Lord and what we read about him in his word. God is our refuge, is what it says in Psalms over and over again. It's a strong tower. He's the one we find our security in. But look at this next verse. Here's the opposite of this. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall, but where? Just in his imagination. They think they're going to be secure in their wealth. We think we're going to be secure in our possessions. But really, true security only comes in the Lord. Verse 12, before destruction, a man's heart is haughty. It's disdainful. It's proud. But we've read this before. Humility comes before honor. I think this is in Proverbs so often because it's something I need to hear on a regular basis. Verse 13, if one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. Have you ever done this? Have you ever started to answer somebody before they've even finished speaking? Have you already started formulating the answer in your head before you finish listening to them? Or maybe you're not even listening to them. You already know what you want to say and you don't want to hear anything what they have to say. That's foolishness and folly according to this verse. In wisdom, we listen first. We weigh out what a person has to say. We try to understand others. That's the theme of chapter 18, or many of the verses in chapter 18. And then we respond. We think first, we listen first, and then we respond. Verse 14, a man's spirit will endure sickness. That happens sometimes. But a crushed spirit, who can bear? Verse 15 says, an intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. In other words, have a love of learning. Have a love of understanding. Be curious. Want to learn as much as we can. It goes back with the theme I mentioned a few minutes ago, where we want to listen, we want to understand, we want to seek knowledge, we want to seek learning. Verse 16, a man's gift makes room for him, and brings him before the great. Verse 17 says, the one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. What I take from this verse is that we have to be careful when we're listening to people, especially if you were hearing about an argument and two sides of an argument, to listen to both sides of the argument, to listen to both sides of a story. There's always two sides to a story. Listen to both before you jump to conclusions. Verse 18, the lot puts an end to quarrels and decides between powerful contenders. Sometimes when you're in a disagreement with somebody, it seems like they're both powerful contenders. You're going at it and nobody seems to be winning the argument. But often, the thing you're arguing about is really something that's a contentious issue, or maybe it's a type of an issue. It's disputable. It's the kind of thing that you say, it really doesn't matter one way or the other. It's not the kind of thing that makes a huge difference. And so what this verse is saying is, be willing to flip a coin to end the quarrel. Be willing to roll a die or cast a lot is what it's saying, because you have to be willing to acquiesce to come to an agreement with somebody, especially on those disputable issues. Save the fights for things that are worth fighting about, and not everything is worth fighting about. Verse 19, a brother offended is more unyielding than a strong city, and quarreling is like the bars of a castle. Once again, warning about the foolishness of just quarreling with people all the time. Verse 20, from the fruit of a man's mouth his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. Verse 21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. That's how powerful your mouth is. That's how powerful your tongue is. The death and life are in the power of it. And those who love it will eat its fruits. Verse 22, I know this is true of me. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I'll pause to let you married men say amen to that. And you married women can say amen to that too. Verse 23, the poor use entreaties, but the rich answer roughly. And the last verse for today, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And as we end on that verse, one reflection there, it's not having lots and lots and lots of friends that is important. We can be surrounded by people who are all detrimental to us. But having some friends who love you like a brother, who stick closer than a brother. Fewer good friends are better than lots of bad friends. Well, lots of wisdom today from Proverbs chapter 18. Join us tomorrow. God bless you.